Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be sharing with you some recommendations for China. So, I was looking through all my Historical Fiction 101 videos and I was trying to think of some new topics, you know, kind of get away from Europe, I suppose. And I was like, I haven't done anything with any of the Asian countries, so yeah, let's start off with China. I found 15 books here that I would like to recommend to you guys. And yeah, as always, anything that you guys would like to add to this list, just write them down in the comments below. So let's get going. I'm gonna just be reading off of my computer here the synopsises for these books so I can get through it much quicker. And yeah, you guys, I'm sorry about this horrible glare on my face. Good lord, I wish there was more sun out right now. And by the way, you guys, I'm not Chinese, okay? I'm not Chinese. I'm probably going to be butchering some pronunciations here, so just deal with me. But yeah, the first recommendation we have here is Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa See. And this takes place in 19th century China following a young girl, looks like she's about 7 years old. Her name is Lily. And she's paired with something called a Lao Tong, which when it's translated, it means old same, which I'm not quite sure exactly what that even means. And yeah, this connection that Lily forms with this Lao Tong, it's some sort of emotional match that will last a lifetime. So the Lao Tong, also known as the sunflower, I suppose, the Snowflower introduces herself by sending Lily a silk fan on which she's painted a poem in a very unique language that only Chinese women can translate, because it's something that they're able to communicate with each other in secrets that men can't understand. As the years pass, Lily and Snowflower send messages on fans, compose stories on handkerchiefs, reaching out of isolation to share their hopes, dreams, and accomplishments. Together they endure the agony of foot binding and reflect upon their arranged marriages, shared loneliness, and the joys and tragedies of motherhood. The two find solace, developing a bond that keeps their spirits alive, but when a misunderstanding arises, their deep friendship suddenly threatens to tear them apart. No, this sounds really good. Next, Empress Orchid by Anchi Min. And this is actually book 1 in a series, it looks like. And it says, to rescue her family from poverty and avoid marrying her slope-shouldered cousin, 17-year-old Orchid competes to be one of the Emperor's wives. When she is chosen as a lower-ranking concubine, she enters the erotically charged and ritualized Forbidden City. But beneath its immaculate facade lie whispers of murders and ghosts, and the thousands of concubines will stoop to any lengths to bear the Emperor's son. Orchid trains herself in the art of pleasuring a man, bribes her way into the royal bed, and seduces the monarch, drawing the attention of dangerous foes. Little does she know that China will collapse around her and that she will be its last empress. Ooh, oh my god, I gotta get my hands on this book, you guys. This sounds really good. It almost has a bit of a Memoirs of a Geisha vibe to it to me. Next, Shanghai Girls, and this is also by Lisa See. I think I have quite a bit of Lisa See on this list, you guys. And this is also book 1 in a series. Pearl and May are sisters, living carefree lives in Shanghai, the Paris of Asia. But when Japanese bombs fall on their beloved city, they set out on the journey of a lifetime, one that will take them through the Chinese countryside, in and out of the clutch of brutal soldiers, and across the Pacific to the shores of America. And yeah, this has a very lengthy synopsis, but that's the basic premise, following two sisters, I guess how they kind of get maybe separated a little bit, and yeah, going through World War II sounds very thrilling. Another book by Lisa See, you guys, Peony in Love, and this takes place in 17th century China. We're following three women who become emotionally involved with the Peony Pavilion, a famed opera rumored to cause lovesickness and even death. including Peony, the cloistered daughter of a wealthy scholar, who succumbs to its spell only to return after her death as a hungry ghost to haunt her former fiance, who has married another. Oh my goodness, this man, this sounds really good. Apparently, I need to buy all of Lisa C's books and binge them, because every single one so far sounds super awesome. Next up, Women of the Silk, and this is by Gail Tsukiyama. I hope I'm pronouncing that one correctly. And let's see, this one, sent by her family to work in a silk factory just prior to World War II, young Pai, I think that's pronounced Pi, P-E-I, young Pai grows to womanhood, working 15-hour days and sending her pay to the family who abandoned her. Oh shit, I want to be giving my family all that money. In Women of the Silk, Gail Tsukiyama takes her readers back to rural China in 1926, where a group of women forge a sisterhood amidst the reeling machines that reverberate and clamor in a vast silk factory from dawn to dusk. Leading the first strike the village has ever seen, the young women use the strength of their ambition, dreams, and friendship to achieve the freedom they could never have hoped for on their own. Tsukiyama's graceful prose weaves the details of the silk work and Chinese village life into a story of courage and strength. Ooh, it sounds really good. You know, I'm trying to remember if my sister has this book, because I know my sister has a couple books by Gail Tsukiyama, so I need to go get those and read them. The Kitchen God's Wife by Amy Tan. Winnie and Helen have kept each other's worst secrets for more than 50 years. Now, because she believes she is dying, Helen wants to expose everything, and Winnie angrily determines that she must be the one to tell her daughter Pearl about the past, including the terrible truth even Helen does not know. And so begins Winnie's story of her life on a small island outside Shanghai in the 1920s, and other places in China during World War II, and traces the happy and desperate events that led to Winnie coming to America in 1949. Ooh. The Painter from Shanghai by Jennifer Cody Epstein. And this one, Pan was a girl with no dreams. Her parents were taken from her at a young age. Then her uncle sold her into prostitution. It was enough for many years just to cope and survive. One day, fate places a kind gentleman in her path, and she begins to discover the city outside the brothel, and the world beyond China's borders. As the larger canvas of life emerges, Pan realizes that she has something of value to say, and a talent through which she can express herself. From Shanghai to Paris, Pan is challenged by the harsh realities in politics, art, and love, and must rely on her own strength to develop her talent. In so doing, she takes a relatively ordinary life and makes it extraordinary. And yeah, this does say it takes place in 20th century China, it looks like. And yeah, this sounds really good too, really compelling. Next up, this is a book that I have read and enjoyed and really freaking loved, and that is The Ghost Bride by Yangzi Chu. Seriously, this is such a good book, you guys. The premise is even better. Though ruled by British overlords, the Chinese of colonial Malaya still cling to ancient customs, and in the sleepy port town of Malacca, I don't know, ghosts and superstitions abound. Li Lan, the daughter of a genteel but bankrupt family, has few prospects, but fate intervenes when she receives an unusual proposal from the wealthy and powerful Lim family. They want her to become a ghost bride for the family's only son, who recently died under mysterious circumstances. Rarely practiced, a traditional ghost marriage is used to placate a restless spirit. Such a union would guarantee Li Lan a home for the rest of her days, but at a terrible price. After an ominous visit to the opulent Lim mansion, Li Lan finds herself haunted not only by her ghostly would-be suitor, but also by her desire for the Lim's handsome new heir, Tian Bai. Night after night, she is drawn into the shadowy parallel world of the Chinese afterlife, with its ghost cities, papal funeral offerings, vengeful spirits, and monstrous bureaucracy, including the mysterious heir Lang, a charming but unpredictable guardian spirit. Li Lan must uncover the Lim family's darkest secrets and the truth about her own family before she is trapped in this ghostly world forever. Seriously, you guys, this book, stunning. I loved it, and yeah, I kind of learned something new about Ghost Brides. I didn't know such a thing existed until I read this book. Next up, this has such a beautiful cover, you guys. I gotta buy this book just for the beautiful cover alone. And this is The Moon and the Palace by Wiena de Randall. And this looks like this is book 1 in a series as well. And let's see, a concubine at the palace learns quickly that there are many ways to capture the emperor's attention. Many paint their faces white and style their hair attractively, hoping to lure in the one above all with their beauty. I guess that means the emperor. Is he called the one above all? That's very egotistical, isn't it? Some present him with fantastic gifts, such as jade pendants and scrolls of calligraphy, while others rely on their knowledge of seduction to draw his interest. But young May knows nothing of these womanly arts, yet she will give the emperor a gift he can never forget. May's intelligence and curiosity, the same traits that make her an outcast among the other concubines, impress the emperor. But just as she is in a position to seduce the most powerful man in China, divided loyalties split the palace in two, culminating in a perilous battle that May can only hope to survive. Woo, this sounds awesome. I gotta get all these books to you guys. I'm starting to realize I need to read a lot more about China, because so far every single book is really sounding really interesting. Next up, The Russian Concubine by Kate Furnival, and this looks like this is book 1 in a series of some sort. And yeah, this novel is set in war-torn 1928 China, with a star-crossed love story at its center. In a city full of thieves and communists, young Lydia Ivanova has lived a hard life. Always looking over her shoulder, the 16-year-old must steal to feed for herself and her mother, who once numbered among the Russian elite until Bolsheviks murdered most of them, including her husband. As exiles, Lydia and her mother have learned to survive in a foreign land. Often, Lydia steals away to meet with the handsome young freedom fighter Cheng An Lo. But yeah, together Lydia and Cheng, they face some peril, it sounds like, because they are being pursued by some communists, it sounds like. And Cheng, in his possession, he has a bunch of jewels that once belonged to the Tsarina. So yeah, the young pair's all-consuming love can only bring shame and peril upon them from both sides. Those in power will do anything to quell it, but Lydia and Cheng are powerless to end it. Oh, you know, I've actually seen this book before at used bookstores, and I've never really picked it up. I think I need to pick it up now, because I've never really paid attention to the synopsis, and this sounds really, really good. We got another book by Amy Tan here, and that's The Valley of Amazement. A sweeping, evocative epic of two women's intertwined fates and their search for identity that moves from the lavish parlors of Shanghai courtesans to the fog-shrouded mountains of a remote tiny Chinese village. Spanning more than 40 years and 2 continents, The Valley of Amazement resurrects pivotal episodes in history, from the collapse of China's last imperial dynasty to the rise of the Republic, the explosive growth and lucrative foreign trade and anti-foreign sentiment, to the inner workings of courtesan houses and the lives of the foreign Shanghailanders living in the international settlement, both erased by World War II. Oh, this sounds really intense and deep and dark. Up next, Pearl of China by Anqi Min. In the small southern town of Xinjiang, in the last days of the 19th century, 2 young girls bump heads and become thick as thieves. Willow is the only child of a destitute family, Pearl the headstrong daughter of zealous Christian missionaries. She will ultimately become the internationally renowned author Pearl S. Buck. Oh, so this is about a real person. Okay. I didn't know this was based off of like a real person. Oh. Okay. So yeah, this character will eventually become the renowned author Pearl S. Buck. Okay. But for now, she is just a girl embarrassed by her blonde hair and enchanted by her new Chinese friend. The two embark on a friendship that will sustain both of them through one of the most tumultuous periods in Chinese history. Moving out into the world together, the two enter the intellectual fray of the times, share love interests, and survive early marriages gone bad. Their shared upbringing inspires Pearl's novels, which celebrate the life of the Chinese peasant, and will eventually earn her both a Pulitzer and Nobel Prize. But when a civil war erupts between the nationalists and communists, Pearl is forced to flee the country just ahead of angry mobs. Willow, despite close ties to Mao's inner circle, is punished for loyalty to her cultural imperialist friend. And yet, through love and loss, heartbreak and joy, exile and imprisonment, the two women remain intimately entwined. Oh, well, this sounds really good. Yeah, I didn't know that this was historical fiction based off the life of a real person. I have to look that up somewhere. Next up, The Courtesan by Alexandra Curry. And this is inspired by the real life of a woman who lived and loved in the extraordinary twilight decades of the Qing dynasty. To this day, Sai Jinhua is a legend in her native land of China, and this is her story told the way it might have been. The year is 1881. 7-year-old Jinhua is left an orphan, alone and unprotected after her Mandarin father's summary execution for the crime of speaking the truth. For 7 silver coins, she is sold to a brothel keeper and subjected to the worst of human nature. Will the private ritual that is her father's legacy and the wise friendship of the crippled brothel maid be enough to sustain her? When an elegant but troubled scholar takes Jinhua as his concubine, she enters the close world of his jealous first wife. Yet it is Jinhua who accompanies him as emissary to the foreign devil nations of Prussia, Austria-Hungary, and Russia on an exotic journey to Vienna. As he struggles to play his part in China's early blundering diplomatic engagement with the Western world, Jinhua's eyes and heart are open to the irresistible possibilities of a place that is mesmerizing and strange, where she will struggle against the constraints of tradition and her husband's authority and seek to find great love. Oh, this sounds really nice. Next up, Dragon Springs Road by Jamie Chang. In 1908, Xiaoling is only 7 years old when she is abandoned in the courtyard of a once lavish estate outside Shanghai. Xiaoling is Eurasian. Is that right? Yeah, she is Eurasian and faces a lifetime of contempt from both Chinese and Europeans. Until now, she's led a secluded life behind courtyard walls, but without her mother's protection, she can survive only if the estate's new owners, the Yang family, agree to take her in. Xiaoling finds allies in Anjuan, the eldest Yang daughter, and Fox, an animal spirit who has lived in the courtyard for centuries. But Xiaoling's life as the Yang's bondservant changes unexpectedly when she befriends a young English girl who then mysteriously vanishes. Murder, political intrigue, jealousy, forbidden love, Xiaoling confronts them all as she grows into womanhood during the tumultuous early years of the Chinese Republic, always hopeful of finding her long-lost mother. Through every turn, she is guided both by Fox and by her own strength of spirit away from the shadows of her past toward a very different fate if she has the courage to accept it. Ooh, that sounds really nice. And a fox for a spirit animal. Ooh. Next up, this is the last recommendation here, and this is another one by Gail Tsukiyama, and this is 100 Flowers. This takes place in China, 1957. Chairman Mao has declared a new openness in society. Let 100 flowers bloom. Let 100 schools of thought contend. Many intellectuals fear it is only a trick, and Kai Ying's husband, Sheng, a teacher, has promised not to jeopardize their safety, or that of their young son Tao. But one July morning, just before her 6th birthday, Tao watches helplessly as Sheng is dragged away for writing a letter criticizing the Communist Party and sent to a labor camp for re-education. That is never good. A year later, still missing his father desperately, Tao climbs to the top of the 100-year-old kapok tree in front of their home, wanting to see the mountain peaks in the distance. But Tao slips and tumbles 30 feet to the courtyard below, badly breaking his leg. As Kai Ying struggles to hold her small family together in the face of this shattering reminder of her husband's absence, Other members of the household must face their own guilty secrets and strive to find peace in a world where the old sense of order is falling. Once again, Tsukiyama brings us a powerfully moving story of ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances with grace and courage. So, yeah, you guys, that is it for my recommendations in regards to historical fiction for China. And seriously, like I was saying earlier, every single one of these books sounds super amazing. They all have such really good premises and characters that sound really complex and intriguing. So yeah, I definitely got to check out quite a number of these books. But you guys, in the comments below, are there any other books that take place in China that I should go search out to add to this list? Just let me know your thoughts down below. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.